Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation. We're going to be bringing you guys a game between Team Liquid and Alliance, formerly known as No Tidehunter. It's going to be a best-of-3 series for the Premier League here. I myself am Blaze, and I'm joined by an interesting co-cast today. Warmly welcoming to the cast, Purge Gamers. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
So, interesting matchup here. These two teams are very, very high ranked in TPL and across the NAEU scene as a whole. So, specifically, Team Liquid is ranked #1 for right now. Alliance just recently, in their last match versus Kaipi, snagging up a rank 4 slot, which does put them within the playoff bubble. But they have 2 games to go, and a big, very consequential one is going to be their next one up against Dignitas coming up in the near future. But if they can secure this win against Team Liquid, that might not even be a factor here. So, definitely something they want to prioritize, and of course, Liquid wanting to try to keep their seeding of 1 so that they have the best chance possible to move on at least into like a second place placement in the playoffs, and obviously going for that first prize as well. So yeah, should be an interesting matchup here, but how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm pretty excited to watch the game, actually. I couldn't turn this down. At the moment, Alliance versus Team Liquid is arguably 2 of the best teams in Europe, possibly outside of the Chinese scene. Liquid has been performing really well. The only team that they've had some trouble with lately has been Dignitas. They got 0-2'd yesterday, I believe, against Dignitas, whereas they beat them a couple days before in a different tournament. So things have been kind of all over the place, but Alliance is also one of the best teams in Europe at the moment, arguably, I would say the best. They just won Star Ladder, and they've been winning a lot of games all over the place, really, really improving since they added it on EGM here.
Yeah. Seems to have kind of changed their pace. They wanted to be a little bit more aggressive there, but they still have a really, really good fundamental core with their players. We do see that they are going to be running a stand-in here. I believe Admiral Bulldog had some connection issues previously, the whole DDoS thing that's going on across multiple events, and hopefully that's not going to be something that takes effect here, but just as a precaution, I believe they were implementing this stand-in, so Bulldog will be sitting on out, but Ixzu, I guess we can call him, is going to be the one to fill on in that place. As far as the draft goes, we do see early bans coming up, the Nyx and the Batrider, are pretty standard stuff, along with that Magnus and IO, but Team Liquid drafting up that first pick, Nature's Prophet, trying to kind of set the pace where they want to have a little bit more global presence and commit to some early on skirmishes where the Prophet can add a little bit of a numbers advantage.
Yeah, and the most annoying way that Prophet is played is just as a split push, counter pusher kind of hero. If your game is equal at all, it really does force your opponents to have to make some hard decisions when they decide to try to take a Rax. It's kind of a roundabout way to preventing the push, but something like a Coddle used to be the stable thing. It's like, oh, if you don't want them to be able to push us, you get a Coddle. Now Nature's Prophet is becoming more popular just because of Wrath of Nature pushing out all the lanes and his ability to take towers or force you to make a decision within the next 30 seconds or after retreat. So really, really annoying hero to play against. Really does make some difficult games.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing to mention is that the Keeper Light is still in that pool, so if they want to go for a very solid defensive tri-lane, they can easily go for that opportunity with the Keeper Light and whatever carry that they want to kind of project and catapult on into the mid to late game. Keeper Light kind of gives that breathing room where he has a lot of space created, and keeping the restoratives flowing with the Chakra Magic to make sure they can sustain on the lane very well. And then when they get on into the late game, the Recall and Blinding Light are actually very powerful utilities. Up against certain heroes. So the puck is going to be a really, really instrumental thing from S4. S4 will be running that puck on the mid lane, presumably. He's really good with the phase shifts and making sure that the initiation is on their terms. But along with that, Ake, picking up the Chen here, is going to be able to put a lot of presence up on that top lane. But what do you think about the Brewmaster pick? That's something that we don't often see.
I think Brewmaster still definitely has a place in competitive Dota. He hasn't received any nerfs or buffs recently. I think he's still usable. He's a great mid hero. He's very hard to kill there. And his teamfight presence is really, really strong, especially against a hero like Chen. I mean, you're not going to do anything to the Brewmaster once he ults. He has about 10 to 15 seconds there to try to make some kills happen. And it's sorely what Liquid needs, because if you look at the 2 heroes they've drafted already, you've got Nature's Prophet and Keeper of the Light. Neither of those heroes contributes well to teamfights in the early game at all. I mean, Prophet is basically limited to Sprout just happening to be there and whatever items he has with Wrath and Nature on top of that. Keeper of the Light, if he can land Illuminates or maybe use a Blinding Light, it's fantastic, but I mean, it's not at all anywhere close to what Puck can put out in the early game. So I think the Brewmaster is a much needed team fight for Liquid's draft here.
Yeah, I think that could be very, very promising there. How do you think they're going to lane it? Do you think Brewmaster is going to be something solo mid? The way I've seen it, Korok and TC have both picked him up. Haven't seen Bulba run it, but they're such flexible players that that might be a possibility as well.
Yeah, I think mid is most likely going to be happening. They can put the Coddle in the safe lane, they can do Profit in the jungle, or they can do Profit in the long lane. But considering that there's a Chen in this game, this gives no Tidehunter some possibilities to do an aggressive tri-lane if they want to, but it's probably a little dangerous to do that because of the Coddle being in the game. If they did do that, though, it would force Nature's Prophet to be less efficient with his jungling, I'm sure, because they could pressure him a bit. So maybe they'll end up doing something like that, but we'll see.
Interesting pick up of the Shrek here. In this situation, they will be able to put a lot of push pressure on in, ranking up the Diabolic Edict along with Chen's Holy Persuasion creeps. Will just batter down towers extremely quickly, but as you mentioned, Nature's Prophet and a Keeper Light both lend their hand a little bit as far as counter push goes, with the Wrath of Nature once Prophet hits 6 or 11, and then with that Illuminate, probably around the time Keeper Light is level 3 or 4. So what I'm thinking here is that whichever support player picks up the Keeper Light, either Ix, Mike, or Fluff, is going to have to rotate towards that top lane relatively swiftly, because there's going to be a lot of pressure coming in from those two individuals, and all they're really looking for to round out that top lane is a disabling carry. If they can get anybody like a Chaos Knight or something to set something up early so that the Leshrac can follow on through with the Split Earth, they pretty much have full control of the lane.
Yeah, they could even do a Lifestealer. It's another hero that maybe doesn't have a good disable. It's just not a hard disable, that is. It's still a fantastic ability, but you can easily land Split Earth following that up. I think Coddle is definitely a requirement against Chen, though. It's very few counter-pushing heroes that are able to deal with high HP creatures. You're used to just having to worry about the creep wave, like a power shot, and maybe a shockwave is usually enough to stop those pushes, but when your creeps are sitting around with 1400 HP, it really does take a heavy hitter like Coddle to be able to slow down the push, so I really do think that was a necessary pick. Interesting Dragon Knight ban, actually. Have you seen Dragon Knight be played in a while? I haven't.
Actually, in the past couple of days, No Tide has been running it, or Alliance, I guess I should say, has been running it in an interesting kind of niche setup where they want to put huge pressure out. I was already talking about the tower pressure with Chen and Leshrac, and the Dragon Knight is just to enhance that with the rank 1 dragon form, that green dragon doing the corrosive damage over time effect on the towers. It's really powerful there, and the presence that he provides is pretty much, if you get anywhere near melee range of this guy, you're going to get killed, because the Dragon Tail and the Split Earth is just too long of disables. So in that situation, it's a little weird for the first few minutes, but after they kind of find their own, they're going to be able to put a huge amount of presence out. And I think it's, I'm not sure if No Alliance would have been drafting it, but it's definitely something that if they want to try to move in towards that mid game, it's a good hero to take off the board.
Yeah, it really is. The stun duration is amazing. His ability to tower push is great, and if you do get some kills in lane, you can turn into a carry fairly easily, just going treads, drums, and then into a damage item, whether that's Mjolnir, or you can get a BKB, or whatever. You have a lot of options. Really fun hero to play as a carry, in my opinion. Clockwork is the next ban. That's a hero that No Tide is, or Alliance that is, has been drafting very, very often for their long lane. Really, really effective. You can adjust the skill build depending on what heroes you're playing against, and then go for some good initiations, especially when you're going with a kind of pushing lineup, as it looks like No Tidehunter is running at the moment. If you can have somebody initiate on the squishy supports as you run past the tower, it can make the dive much, much easier.
It's interesting that Team Liquid is completely ignoring the Lone Druid in the pool. Essentially, the fact that Admiral Bulldog is not on the roster for this game here makes it so that they could care less. As long as it's not an Admiral Bulldog Lone Druid, they're like, okay, well, we can handle it one way or another. But I do think it's a hero that they could actually make work if Ixzu or IKZU is able to micro effectively and manage himself on that long lane. It still adds a lot of that split push potential, which kind of diverts the attention between multiple different heroes. Keeper wants to be somewhere, Nature's Prophet wants to be somewhere, and it gets more and more difficult to deal with it as the continuous pressure keeps on coming out. And what they're going to try to do is, with No Tidehunter putting pressure on as soon as that puck hits 6 especially, is making sure that they can get tower kills, hero kills, and that Brewmaster can't get his Blink Dagger as early as he'd prefer. Because if Brewmaster doesn't have a Blink, his mobility is so darn weak that his claps are going to be lackluster, maybe hitting 1, at best 2 heroes, and then the Primal Splits, they'll take a little bit of time to actually take into effect, and those are precious seconds. That's a major part of their teamfight here. Rubik does add a little bit of teamfight potential, especially with the no cast animation delay Split Earth, as well as whatever he can steal from the puck, but nevertheless, it's going to be difficult for them, and we do see the Lifestealer come out.
Yeah, and you have to be really careful against the puck when you're playing a Brewmaster, because that 3 seconds of silence doesn't seem like a lot to disable, but if you combo that with an open wounds and follow it up with the Lesh stun, you're in a really, really tough spot. You could get killed from that, and PL is the carry pick out of TL. So it's going to be a Brewmaster mid, a PL Caudal Rubik tri-lane most likely with a long lane Nature's Prophet. Prophet is going to probably have a rough time, and the top tower is going to be lost quite rapidly for Team Liquid, but hopefully for their sake they can make up for it by either taking a tier 1 of their own or creating really, really good space for their PL in the early game, which should propel them up against enemies, and a Bounty Hunter for the long lane, which will help them against the PA, or the PL, sorry, in the future.
Yeah, definitely to an extent there. Interesting bans coming out from Alliance, though. They banned out 3 supportive heroes, the Shadow Shaman, the Lion, the... I just forgot the last one, but taking them off the board, the Bane as well. But, you know, there's so many different supports that can be viable in that circumstance. To pick up the Rubik, they also had the Shadow Demon available, so I kind of feel like Alliance, although they were taking off some really good supports, I don't really think that that impacted Team Liquid's draft very much, because they're still able to get the Rubik there. They can steal track and throw it right back at the other team. That could be amazing for them. And in general, I think that Liquid did really come out on top comparatively in this drafting phase. As long as they can break out of that laning phase effectively, then they're going to be really, really in a good spot. And I think it's going to be on Alliance to put the pressure out and make sure they're getting those track kills.
Yeah, things could be really scary for TL, though, if they happen to make a couple mistakes in the laning stage and Alliance ends up taking a gold advantage that way. They will definitely be able to outpush Liquid if they do really well early, and I don't know if Liquid's going to be able to slow that down too much. Only with the Caudal is pretty much all that they'll be working with. I mean, I think Nature's Prophet will limit them a bit if they do get behind. So hopefully for them, they break even in the laning stage, and if that all goes well, then I think they have a really good shot of winning this late game with the PL.
Sure thing, sure thing. So, real quick, I guess we'll go through the rosters here. Looking at Alliance, we do see Ake picking up his signature Chen there, and as such, EGM is going to be running on that Leshrac. We do have also Loda on the Lifestealer. Starting off with an interesting build of only 3 branches and a Tango, but I guess he'll be picking... I guess if he feels less pressure, he won't have to worry about that Stout Shield, and then he can just go for something like an Armlet really, really early on, or even the fast Midas. Either way, S4 is going to be running that puck on the mid lane. Then we will see Ixu down here on the Bounty Hunter, and he's got plenty of restoratives to survive as best he can. Actually, EGM bringing him some Tangos.
And if we... you didn't go over Liquid yet, right?
Nope.
Okay, let's do Liquid quick. We've got TC on the Phantom Lancer going for a Quelling Blade start. IX Micah on the Rubik. We have Fluff playing Keeper of the Light. Mid lane is going to be Korok on the Brewmaster. And the long lane here is going to be Boba playing the Nature's Prophet. The first thing I want to talk about as we look at some starting item builds is S4's puck build. He has completely purchased stats here. This is the most stats you can basically get at level 1. This is going to build him into a fast null talisman. And most importantly, he's basically not feeling threatened at all by a Brewmaster. He knows there's going to be a Brewmaster mid. And rather than rushing for a fast bottle, he wants to be able to right-click the Brewmaster as much as possible. And hopefully outlast hit him. Now, if he can delay the Brewmaster's bottle and work down those tangos, it will give him a pretty big advantage. But basically, he's not feeling threatened at all, and he wants to be have as much damage as possible to really be able to screw over the Brewmaster.
Yeah, it's interesting. And if you can use those face shifts very effectively to dodge out the clap coming out of Brew, then it's really going to make it so that Korok doesn't really have very much of an advantage at all in this lane. Actually going for the Drunken Haze right off the bat. Really just wants to make sure that S4 is having trouble last hitting, denying, and harassing, as you mentioned, with all that big right-click damage. So it's a 45% slow, mischance immediately, so that's going to be a little bit frustrating for S4, but do you think it'll make an impact early on?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he might as well grab that skill over clap, because any good player is obviously going to phase shift the claps. You can see them coming. And even though he does have all this extra damage picked up right there, there's a miss. That's the last hit that Korok shouldn't have gotten because he ended up picking up Drunken Haze. And it's going to cost him a lot of mana, but he's still got about 2 left before he runs out and needs the bottle. And if he can't get the bottle, he might be in some trouble.
Actually, a lot of damage
going through. He's getting right-clicked and getting pretty low, but again, the Drunken Haze stops 2 sources of damage, and Korok's going to live.
Yep. Already transitioning over, we see Bounty Hunter heading towards the mid, trying to actually add up a little damage, but S4 just got a little too antsy there. I mean, easy opportunity. So many creeps, 2 illusions. Yeah, it really seemed like Korok was in a rough spot, so trying to take advantage of that. Does gain the advantage for the moment, but he is only 100 gold away from that bottle.
And so far, S4's build has paid off. Now, if we look at some of the other lanes, the Radiant safe lane is going to be the PL, going straight for Lance as well as Juxtapose. He doesn't really need the invis at the moment, and maybe he can get lucky and pick up a Juxtapose, which will help him last hit under tower. So far, looking so good. The long lane, of course, was supposed to be Bobo, but instead he just says, nope, I'm jungling, guys. This is no man's land in the upper left.
Yeah, exactly. So just completely abandoning out that top lane. They will be worried about push relatively soon, but I would say not until the Leshrac hits about level 3. So right now, EGM just going to be pulling up. Actually gets a really nice stack on the hard camp to the west, and just goes for that double pull to get that juice experience, and also make sure the Creequilibrium is in a great spot for Loda to just continue lasting away. Right now, sitting at 11 CS, just barely ahead of TC down in the bottom lane. So they're kind of trading back and forth, but like I said, Loda didn't have to go for many starting items at all, and I think that Midas is going to be coming out very, very swiftly.
Yeah, I do know that he likes Midas a lot. I think Lifestealer is probably requiring a Midas to carry against a PL. It is possible to carry against a PL with a Lifestealer, but I think the Midas is definitely required. Go Midas into like Armlet, and then shortly after you start needing some AoE items. Usually maybe a Mjolnir and a Battle Fury is enough, and then you just need to use Rage when you attack the illusions so that they don't mana drain you. And you can actually carry against it, but you need to keep your farm up with him, and there's no way you can do that without a Midas, I don't think.
So yeah, so not a lot of direct confrontation for the moment. That's kind of where that environment thrives in, where you rush for that item. We see the recipe already coming after Loda, and also this damage pressure on in. A Split Earth committed. They do have rank 1 Edict, but only a Centaur Conqueror to actually provide that aura and that large buffer of HP here. We do see that they are going to be able to bring this down pretty swiftly with Loda actually just going past the creep wave, annihilating it very, very quickly, but they've only taken down half the HP of the tower. Do you think they're going to be able to get this before the Fluff and Stuff Keeper Light makes any impact?
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, he did wave the creep wave once, but it's only a level 1 Illuminate. The push is coming so early, it doesn't matter what hero you have. You're not going to be able to match this. EGM barely missing a stun, and Cuddle's not going to die, but the chase on the bottom, Bounty Hunter's really low. 50 HP, Poor Man's Shield is paying off, but the Lance is going to get it, and that's the first blood coming to Liquid. In the meantime, Alliance is going to be able to take the top tower with the Leshrac auto-attacking it, so not the biggest loss ever for them.
Yeah, precisely there. So they were able to exchange it back and forth. They didn't want to hand away that first blood, and of course they'd prefer if the stand-in was playing it safe more so than trying to very aggressively acquire that experience. But either way, they do pick up that tower, and it kind of, the gold kind of evens itself out, back up and down a little bit. But one way or another, they're going to be able to keep this push pressure rolling. They've given a little bit more room. Actually, Korok in a really bad spot. I'm not exactly sure what he expected to accomplish there when Puck was level 5. I mean, he wasn't level 6 yet, so he wasn't afraid of a Dream Coil, but nevertheless, the second he got hit by that orb, he was dead.
Yeah, he was sitting way too far forward. He had about 280 HP sitting in the middle of the river. Puck had full mana, full HP, level 5, and I mean, he was all the way up on the creep wave, and that was a big mistake. Ike's Mike's going to get caught, though. He is going to telekinesis and lift, throw S4 over. And Bounty Hunter's chasing as well. Ike's Mike is going to take some crit damage, but Bulba comes in, going to try to save him here. The right click's going to be sprouting at any second there. Just gets both. Great sprout from Bulba, and more right clicks on S4 to keep him down, but that was just a precautionary teleport. He wasn't expecting to get a kill there, and he does help Ike's Mike stay alive.
Yeah, it doesn't cost him too much. He wasn't planning on using that teleport offensively in any sense either way, and Chakra Magic will keep him up and be able to allow him to farm the jungle away. But yeah, once that Janata came on through, Ike's Mike was in a really rough spot, so good for them to be able to disengage from that position there, but still rather far behind when you consider how much experience S4 was able to get out of that. He got a level 6 against a level 4 Brewmaster. He now just hit level 5, but nevertheless, it's a big advantage to Puck that I think he's going to really, really do a lot with, especially if he can get an early Blink Dagger as a result.
Yeah, no kidding. He's doing pretty well, though. He's got the boots up, and he has Bottle Core, and Korok is able to pressure him now. He's got a full bottle, and he has full mana here, so he can actually harass if he needs to. Another Drunken Haze. He's going to be forced back in. In the meantime, Lotus still farming the top lane. Boots Hand of Midas. Insanely good last hits right now. 35 plus the Midas, of course, so his GPM is only behind PL's because PL was able to secure a first blood so far.
Exactly. But that first blood is a really big deal because as Phantom Lancer gets bigger, I mean, everybody knows how devastating he can be in that late game, and the big question is how early he gets his first big item, either going for a Yasha or Diffusal Blade. Either way, increasing his farm potential, increasing his damage output, and in the case of Yasha, allowing him to farm faster by just being that much more quick on his feet. But yeah, either way, he's going to be looking for an item extremely swiftly because otherwise he's going to have a hard time. Between those two options, I would definitely prefer the Diffusal Blade because you can actually dispel track by using it on yourself, and that'll actually make the Doppelwalk a lot safer of an escape tool. But we see on mid lane Korok in a terrible spot. He's going to get silenced and stunned on out. It's just too much damage coming on in. It was good rotation from EGM and Ake, and again, it kind of feels like Korok is just being caught blindsided.
Yeah, the main reason that caused this problem originally is that he did give that solo kill to Puck, so Puck had a big level advantage over him. Brewmaster should have been level 6 by now if he didn't end up dying, so if he would have had 6 there, he could have just popped his ulti and survived that gank, so that just shows one small mistake is going to start snowballing later. He probably could have just ultied to survive there, prevent the death. It would have wasted his ulti in a way, but I think that's probably better off this early on than dying. So great smoke gank from Alliance there, and they do take another advantage.
Yeah, but Bounty Hunter is still only sitting at level 3. He's going to have a long road ahead of him if he wants to get to that track and start making impact on the team fights. I mean, once he starts getting tracks out, even exchanges are going to be favorable for Alliance, but it's just the fact that he's been zoned out so hardcore, he's not been able to participate in much directly, and although he's finding some experience while they push, the tower's going to fall before he can even hit level 4.
Yeah, that's going to hurt him quite a bit. I also like how Boba's going for a Boots Basey build. Very uncommon for Nature's Prophets right now to go anything but Midas right off the bat. But this gives him a much, much better early game where he can actually contribute to fights and push.
So it looks like he's saving up quite a chunk of gold, though. Do you think he's going to go for the Midas in the end? Actually, Korok taking a huge amount of damage with the splitters and that waning rift. They do have the Dream Coil as well, so it can lock him in place. He is going to have to pop out that ulti. He does get it off, but he's on such low friggin' life. Going on in, S4 doesn't have much mana to work with. Rank 1 phase shift isn't going to be enough to save him here, and they do bring him down. EGM does try to pop off that split earth, but just has that edict going on through, gets stunned up, and he's probably going to fall here with one more right click coming out of Panda. But now Brewmaster's in a rough spot. Nice tornado usage. Korok's able to get the kill, and now is on the run, and just going to be able to TP on out there successfully. Wild Wing, actually they did prevent it. The ensnare came out from the Dark Troll Summoner, and Ake was able to lock him in place. So very, very good maneuver there. But nevertheless, they picked up a couple kills that I think still favored them.
Yeah, that was a sick play by Ake to be in the right place at the right time, and Brewmaster almost lost himself that Leshrac kill, but he did end up cycloning Loda in there, so bottom a second, and a good attempt at a TP, but was not quite enough. And I thought that was going to go way worse for Liquid. I mean, as soon as Brewmaster got stunned, I was like, okay, he is probably going to die here, but IX Mike was in position, and they were able to snag the kill on the puck, which helped so much in that fight.
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, he was such low life when he got that Primal Split off, but it was effective, and they were able to turn it around very nicely. So that's the power of that Primal Split. It's a long cooldown, but it offers so much teamfight disable and damage, and of course, it makes you immune effectively for that duration. They have to kill off all 3 pandas to be able to lock him down. So yeah, that's definitely difficult to deal with. We do see S4 actually going on towards Fluff and stuff. He has that haste inactive, so he's going to be able to dish out a ton of damage. Probably just finish him off outright. There is going to be that winning rift, and this edict damage should be sufficient. You're going on in further. The Bounty Hunter does fall first, but now IX Mike breaking out, but nevertheless the rage not going to be enough to keep him alive. TC does bring down the Leshrac, and Bulba is going to be able to try to bring down S4, but that haste rune allows him to outmaneuver, and it should be enough for him to be able to get on out of here, but we'll have to see. TC trying to close in for that Lance to home on into that position, but we're just going to see a TP come out, and S4 will get out of here A-okay.
Yeah, it's a smart play from him. It was looking a little dangerous there. As soon as PL was able to pop his salve, very little chance of him dying. The tier 2 tower top is being pressured. Oh, that was a TP cancel actually from PL, so a little bit of gold wasted there as the pressure comes top. Another wave is going to whiff here. Satyr gets killed, but Ake is going to retreat.
So, at this stage in the game, who would you say has the early advantage? I'll remind you that Bounty Hunter currently sitting at only level 5.
I think it's looking really good for Liquid at the moment. Like I said, as long as they didn't take a really big disadvantage in the early game, Liquid should have the better late game. PL is going to carry harder than the Lifestealer most likely, though Lifestealer is still having some great GPM. Only 20 behind the PL in the meantime. I still think the teamfight is maybe a bit better. Teamfight and ganking is a little bit better for NTH, but I think Liquid definitely has a slight advantage here.
Yep, so at this stage in the game, what do they do to cement that advantage? Do they just need to start warding the enemy jungle and start getting major ganks off onto Loda? Or how are they going to be able to make it sure that they're not going to be falling behind after the fact?
I don't think Liquid really has to do that much aggressiveness. I think NTH is the ones that have to be quite concerned. Actually, we're going to have Prophet TPing. He accidentally TPs right next to Chen, but then they realize and say, okay, I guess we'll just take the tower. I mean, as long as the PL gets his farm up, he will be able to outcarry the Lifestealer, I think. I think that NTH is the team that really has to be more aggressive in this situation. They've got the Puck, for example. That's a hero that needs to go ganking because he's going to peek off. Yeah.
Going in. Yeah, big Dream Coil coming out onto 3 right here. They aren't going to get the silence just yet, but the orb goes across. 3 Dark Troll Summoners lock TC in place. They're going to be able to bring him down with this track, but the Hand of God keeps him up for a moment. Not long enough, though. IX Mike is able to steal up a silence of his own, but I don't really think they can take this much further. Brewmaster going deep, trying to bring down EGM, but it probably will be at the cost of his own life. No, he micros out the Earth Panda, trying to get him out of there, but the Janata slow keeps him in place. Korok taking a lot of damage. He has a lot of life to work with. Gets the clap off, gets the Illuminate, bursts down the Bounty Hunter, turning it over to S4 with this telekinesis. Double damage. Right clicks, they might be able to do it. They bring down S4 with that last right click. Double kill for IX Mike, and the remainder of Alliance are on the run.
Oh, that was sick plays. I thought Liquid should have retreated there, but they were completely right. Korok was able to back off last second. He had full HP, which meant that he ultied right at the start of the fight, and they're able to turn that, even pick up the Bounty Hunter and the Puck, who were a little too aggressive there. The nukes are still really massive from Liquid right now, with the Clap as well as the Rubik being there. So, nice plays by Liquid, and they take a slight advantage and should be able to take this tier 2 tower mid.
Yeah, that's immense. I mean, they already have a massive gold advantage, but being able to pick that up for themselves is going to be really, really good. We actually see Loda trying to duel it out with Korok. He does have that Infest, so a lot of survival survivability potential there, but the tower does fall at first. Boba is on half-life. They look to pursue. They don't land the split earth on anybody, though, and it looks like they will be able to disengage on their own terms.
And great defensive illuminate as well. Fluff has those prepared at all times. And Liquid's going to back off. They got both towers mid, and now the gold advantage should be in Liquid's favor massively. Really, really swung up there. The EXP jumping about 1k up. Alliance still does have better EXP gain, but it's not looking as good for them. They've only gotten one tower so far, despite having a lot of great pushing heroes.
So it looks like Lifesteal is going to be following up with the armlet here. Do you think he needs to be opting for something more like a Maelstrom to fight out the illusions, or just needs to focus on his single target lockdown, at least for this time period?
Yeah, they definitely do need to do that. Leshrac now going towards the bot lane with the other 3 heroes. Tier 1 tower is up as well, so I think they should be able to snag this perhaps. They know that they have to start winning some team fights, and if they do get vision of this, Radiant Team did spot this with an Observer Ward, by the way, so they should know that they're pushing here, but I don't really see any of Liquid reacting to this. I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, I mean, just 3 Dark Troll Summoners, so that's a lot of skeletons going to just come rising from the dead. They're going to be able to burn this down very, very swiftly. The fortification is available, but it seems like without the Primal Split, it's not something that they want to really go on into. They do have Blink on Brewmaster, so a lot of initiation potential, but for now, Korok's just happy with letting the tier 1 fall and just getting some farm across the map. The one thing I gotta say about this, though, is by losing this tier 1, they kind of open up their jungle to Alliance a little bit more, where they're gonna have less vision on that bottom lane, and unless they apply a lot of wards pressure, we're gonna see, right here, Loda bringing down some Radiant creeps, and from there, Phantom Lancer's gonna have harder and harder time finding places to farm, though for right now, he's getting creative about it.
Yeah, well, if the creep wave does sit over by him, he's going to be all set. Yeah, he is really creative. He's sitting in the enemy jungle at the moment. It's a little dangerous to do this because they do have track, but now that the wave is all pushed up, he's got lots of farm from the bot lane. He can just hit lane creeps, and if he spawns any illusions, throw them right into his jungle. So his GPM is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Absolutely. So right now, we were talking about the fact that Alliance really needs to make something happen here. Do you think Smoke Inks are the only option? I mean, we have Dream Coil but no Blink on the puck, and then of course we have Tracks, but it seems like Ixzu always dies first in most of the engagements. How do they need to engage their next fight to actually come out on top?
Well, now that they're slightly behind in terms of GPM, I think Puck absolutely needs to grab his Blink before they can go engaging again. He's very close to it, about 200 gold. Once he has Blink, Loda's got Armlet. I think they're ready to go to do some more engagements, but they did need to set up with the Blink Dagger first. And once they have this, if they can get a Silence and kill Brewmaster before he splits, that's how they're going to try to win their team fights. And that's completely what they need to do. Kill the Brewmaster. Here it comes.
Yeah, they're trying to put pressure out that way. The smoke has gone down. They can start off with that ensnare, and all they need is as close to instantaneous as possible on that waiting griff. But a little bit of a pause coming on out. Not really sure exactly the reason, but it is going to be a disconnect from Bulba right here. So hopefully will be a brief one. But nevertheless, ill-timed because yeah, this is going to be a smoke ink coming on in very, very shortly here. Everybody's pretty much ready to go. Ake has his mechanism, and the tracks are ready to go as well. So they have a great opportunity to bring down Korok, but simple Blink Dagger usage could easily put him out of harm's way. So it's kind of on the edge of a knife here, and this pause coming out is probably pretty ill-timed for Alliance.
It was almost an absolute disaster. If you look at the difference between Korok and the Dark Troll, if he would have been a couple steps forward, the smoke would have been revealed, and he could look at that and say, oh, a Dark Troll disappeared out of Invis. I wonder if their entire team is sitting right behind it. That was absolutely close. If that would have been any closer, man, that accidental pause would have just absolutely given Liquid an advantage. I don't know if they could reach in and kill Korok regardless of that. I mean, Puck still doesn't have his Blink Dagger. He is still missing 200 gold, but surely that would have caused a lot of problems. I don't see Korok dying, though. Even if he gets netted, actually, he can't blink if he does get netted, and he could get chain netted, so it's going to come down to these Dark Troll Warlords.
Yeah, it'll be difficult, but in this position here, the one thing that they've recently changed is during pauses you can't move your camera. At least the players cannot in this private game, so it might not be as strategic as it used to be anyways, but we'll have to see if this Troll Summoner backs off or if he's actually going to be able to engage right on top of it. No, it does get dispelled. They see at least one of them there, and he's going to try to play it cool, just have a random Troll Summoners just sitting around and be like, yeah, nothing happened. But they're smoking down into the jungle. They're going to actually find IX Mike. Here comes the open wounds. They're going to follow it up with some good maneuvers here. What rank 1 open wounds not going to do anything for you, buddy. And he does get dropped down. Track kill for 4 heroes. Very, very powerful.
It was kind of cool. He open wounded the bounty hunter, and then he used the Fade Bolt, so he got a 10% heal out of that. Some
Nice.
pretty good crisis management. Oh, they lost the courier. Big loss there. Was that PL's items? It was not. So he's almost got Diffuse the Blade with his Yasha. So not the biggest loss ever. I'm not sure what items were in there, but we'll find out later.
TC putting pressure up on top. This is what the max of the Juxtapose is all about. Just trying to make sure that you have that continuous push pressure, can farm up the neutral camps extremely swiftly, and in this case also on that tower, putting the damage in on there. So TC really increasing his GPM. He's still slightly behind the Lifestealer because that Midas just is so darn good at projecting yourself into the later stages with bonus experience, bonus gold, but he's pretty much neck and neck as far as last hits go, and he's been in part of a couple major team fights, 2-1-1 at his current KDA.
And there comes another Illuminate. Oh, if they can kill all these trolls, that's a big advantage. Kind of a mistake here from Ake. They can kill all these. Yep, they got two. Korok tried to blink there, slight mistake, and they do almost get the third. 58 HP left on the last one, so he will save these. That is the best feeling playing Shen, though, is to get a triple troll. It gives you so much push, a lot of really good range to Sable, and I'm sure he's crying inside that he just lost all those.
Yeah. So he picks up a Wild Wing, a nice toughness aura to kind of supplement what he did lose, but yeah, nevertheless, he's going to have to send that one back to heal because he definitely doesn't want to lose that kind of potential. It's probably one of the best, if not the best, neutral creep, especially early on, but when we break on into team fights, I guess the auras probably will have a little bit more potency. Either or, we're going to be seeing probably some Roche pressure pretty soon. Right now, Bulba just scouting out with Treants, but both teams have a lot of potential to bring it down very swiftly. With the Chen's creeps or with that of Bulba's, they can pretty much deal a lot of damage to it without taking any themselves. Good Illuminate, though, on the mid lane. Does shut down a push, at least for the moment.
Yeah, they're really close to one another. S4 takes another nuke, and that's going to cost him a lot, especially because he's got this Invis bottled. Never mind, there's an urn on EGM, so that's not going to cost them that much at all, but they pull the creeps away. The Illuminate gets set up, and it is going to barely catch the next wave. Slightly too early used there, and that's going to allow Alliance to push in. Here comes the team fight.
Yeah, Edict does break on down. They're going to look to go on this tower here, but they're just trying to dissuade them as much as possible. Fade Bolt after Fade Bolt. Illuminate hits on Ake. He's so darn low. Does pop off his mechanism. He will survive for now, but man, that's bad. Korok taking this opportunity to jump on in. The silence doesn't happen in time. He gets the split off. They're all slowed up. EGM going to be his focus. He needs to tornado him now, though. He tornado Puck. He can't finish off EGM. Now we see on the front lines that they were able to finish off the Rubik really quickly, but S4 is going to pay for it. Ixu on the left as well. Big Illuminate going across again. Ake running for his lives. Tornadoes everywhere. But it's going to be Loda on the front line, trying to bring down TC with that track active. He will get the kill. Double kill for Loda, but he has to run fast. Armlet toggle is necessary. He doesn't get it, and instead he does take a fall. That fight in general went very far in favor of Liquid as far as how they engaged it, but a couple of track kills on the board makes it not so dangerous and not so painful for Alliance.
Yeah, Trek is really helping out a lot against TC. He keeps going to Invis and then quickly realizes that he is actually being focused, and he's not nearly farmed enough to be able to take Lifestealer one-on-one. Lifestealer is a very strong one-on-one physical DPS carry at this point in the game, and it's not until much later when PL has a heart and maybe a Manta style that he can actually fight him. So he got caught with Track and right-clicked, and it's a pretty easy kill at that point.
So now the Lifesteal has picked up that Maelstrom, has a little bit of a mix of single target damage and AoE. I actually have seen an unorthodox build that LGD International has kind of made a little bit more popular, is picking up a Battle Fury on Lifestealer to try to deal with the Phantom Lancer's illusions. Do you think that's something that's viable in this current state of game?
Yeah, you have to go that way. The Battle Fury really does go a lot further. Like I said, a lot of physical or single target damage out of Lifestealer, so Battle Fury actually ends up doing quite a bit with right clicks. Maelstrom, Battle Fury is definitely the way to go. You can even go to Mjolnir as well if you want, because it will do slightly more AoE damage.
Sure. So a lot of potential there, but he's got to pick up on his farm. Right now, topping out net worth of 9,400. He clearly can't complain about his situation, but in general, I think if you're even on items, it's still going to be the Phantom Lancer succeeding until you're talking about 6 slotted heroes, and then it comes down to buybacks and how good the supports play.
Yeah, it really does. And decision-making, things like that. You couldn't get out of position. Maybe you engage on the illusions when your rage isn't up and you lose all your mana, and at that point, everything becomes a lot more difficult. But Loda's items right now just look fantastic. This is exactly what he needs to try to outcarry the PL.
So Geometry Sight comes out on the Chen. Maybe unnecessary based on the track, but it's still going to be able to provide them quite a bit of map control and guarantee that they're going to have that vision on the Phantom Lancer, even if he does use that Diffusal Blade charge. So pretty good usage here. The question is whether or not he can keep it active for a while. He survived by the skin of his teeth 2 times over in that last fight, so feeling rather confident in himself. He does also have a rank 2 Hand of God, but still, they continue to relentlessly pressure this mid-tier 1 tower. Only 350 HP, they're going to go in on it, but it looks like they're going to try to put that pressure right back out, doing a lot of damage with that Illuminate. Here is, though, S4 and Loda jumping on in. Big damage coming out. Another Primal Split coming off. but really not enough follow-up to really make anything happen. EGM does fall to it, but now Loda on the front end of things. On the run, sprouted on in, can't break out, tries to TP, he might get out. Oh no, just barely. The last right click came on through from that Fire Panda, finished the job. Really, really good for them. Ake being pursued a little bit by Korok here, but the Blink Dagger is just not fast enough.
Oh, we'll see. He's going after him. I think he spotted him. There's the Bulba TP. Yep. Nice Sprout. They drop gem. Is he going to kill it? Has he gotten it? He hasn't been able to click on it. There's heroes everywhere. And they pick it up. Bulba's able to steal the gem. Ake is not able to destroy it. Pretty unfortunate for him in the chase. There's no way he's getting out of this one. I just don't see it happening. And a couple more right clicks, and they get him. Huge team fight for Liquid there. They were able to win that one. The Ake heal was slightly late and wasn't able to save the Leshrac. That was one of the main points that I saw. And after that, Brewmaster could change targets. And Ike's Mike also, I must point it out, did a fantastic job of getting all of his spells off before he died. He casted everything very, very fast and did as much as possible.
What did he steal in that one, do you know?
He stole Illusory Orb, and I swear, like, he was silenced. He got initiated on by the Puck lifestealing. He was able to cast all 3 of his spells. Orb, Fade Bolt, as well as Telekinesis before he died. He did a great job. Yeah,
a lot of damage adding up. We do see Bulba initiating here on IKZU, and it looks like he's going to be dropped down quickly. Tries to do what he can, gets a track, gets a shuriken out, but it's pretty much just a null point there because he does take a fall here. We do actually see aggression onto Bulba, but no chance to bash or anything like that. And we do get Lance's telekinesis and Claps going on top of him. S4 drops a big Dream Coil, though, burning down Ike's Mike immediately, looking for more. They actually infest inside for S4 to jaunt away. Beautiful timing between S4 and Loda as they pull themselves out of a terrible position. Based on the fact of that infest mechanic. Wow.
Yeah, those were really, really nice play. Really well coordinated there. Blast is going to be dodged by S4. Korok's going to spot him. He is invisible. He clapped this. I assume that he's going to think about it here. There's the first nuke. There's the blink dodge. It's still going to go through, though, and EGM takes some damage. Dust as well. Bulba's trying to help out here, but Fluff is running for his life. There's the Sprout as well. Another lightning. EGM trying to make the plays. It's going to be close, but the wand is pressed, and TC stays alive. Bulba TP's out just in time as Loda tries to escape, and TC might actually die to earn. He's going to stay alive at 20 HP. Another orb. Can they get anybody on Liquid? They're all escaping. I can't believe that Fluff will make it as well. Oh my gosh. PL was killed, though. Ake able to pick that one up.
Literally one guy, though, out of all of that. That was just ridiculous. I mean, they were all over the place. They were very, very scattered. Some good plays by EGM. He got an amazing split Earth off and was able to follow it up with Pulse Nova damage and such, but it didn't add up to enough. They weren't able to really bring down any individuals on Liquid. They had the mechanism on Coddle. I don't even think Fluff used it, but either way, they were able to survive very, very close. By the skin of their teeth, by like 3 different individuals. Bulba TP'd out, Fluff. Everybody was just able to just barely get on out of there, and that's really big because that bounty hunter, those kills are worth twice as much, honestly. The amount of gold they could have gotten there, and the fact that they didn't, it's got to be frustrating for them.
Yeah, and it was a PL that died, so that's going to pay off pretty decently. He has picked up a Manta now, so you'll be looking to see him use that as soon as he gets tracked in a team fight. That's going to put Track on cooldown. That's going to mean even if he dies, no gold for the enemy team, and that will add up over the long course of the game. So from here, I expect to see a heart out of him, just to double his HP, essentially. It's about 1,000 HP that it gives you, and his illusions are going to be a lot harder to kill. And I'd like to point out that NTH doesn't have that much AoE. They have some. I think the Leshrac is going to help quite a bit as the game develops, but largely, I think the PLs will be a problem once they grab a heart.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a major factor there. He started off with that Manta-style Diffuser build, which is going to be able to make sure that he has a stable flow of his little copycat army, because he will be able to start off with a couple illusions, which all have their individual Phantom Edge procs. But from there, they're going to be relying a lot on their teammates. Of course, I already mentioned the mechanism from the Ezalor, but also the Scythe of Vice from Nature's Prophet. He's going to be able to pick that up in, I mean, still about 2,000 gold away, but it's a Nature's Prophet with a Midas. He's going to be able to farm that up very, very swiftly, and that's going to set it up so that Bulba can really, really very effectively peel for Phantom Lancer. And every second that he's alive, especially when there's a heart on the field, is going to get harder and harder for Alliance to really take a teamfight away.
Yeah, and that's essentially the course of the game. Loda has a lot of farm, but he's up against 3 heroes on Liquid that have a ton of damage potential. And the wave might get initiated. There's one nuke onto S4. Gets some mana drained here. Diffusal Blade 2 has not been purchased yet. He's a little too poor, and the Tier 2 tower goes down with Chen getting the last hit.
Coming on in though, Korok jumps on in, gets that Primal Split off on the extremely slow Ake. Tornadoes up on Loda, going down, trying to finish off Ake, but he does have the Hand of God, will pop it off here, but slowed down to a crawl. We do see S4 initiating the western end, but gets picked up immediately, bursted down by TC, doesn't stand a chance. Pandas everywhere, throwing up again the Bounty Hunter, and now we see Loda, the target of choice. They're going to be able to bring him down with one more Earth Panda stun. Great play by Korok, great counter initiation, Ike Smite with the telekinesis. everything just went to shit for Alliance here. They just got completely obliterated, and this could be extremely, extremely painful for them. Like, they could go in Roshan, they could take a tower. I mean, they're not really in a great position. Actually, jumping on in, Boba could care less about the buybacks. He goes all the way into the mid lane.
And Liquid is just team fighting so well right now. Korok's initiation was great, jumped on the Chen, forced him to use his heals on himself, and most importantly, Ike's Mike was able to stay alive. He stole Rage from the Lifestealer, and at that point, man, Rubik is the hardest hero ever to kill. And look at his item or his skills now. He has Track, which means that extra gold for the next, what, 200 seconds, 240 seconds here, for any kills that they get if he can get the Track off.
Exactly. That's going to be a huge thing. I mean, even if it's only a rank 1 track, that's what Bounty Hunter has been running this entire time. And now I feel that, yeah, Rubik, the support of Rubik is providing more potential in a team fight and adding more benefit for their team than the offlane Bounty Hunter. So obviously kind of a support job well done. If your tri-lane support is doing better than the offlaner in multiple regards, then you're generally going to say that you won the laning phase, but now we're seeing that they're doing the same thing in the team fights. They're doing so darn well. Korok, I gotta say, his targeting was 100% on point, and now he has an Aghanim, so that's a rank 4 Brewmaster ulti, and he's going to be able to do so much with those pandas.
Yeah, Aghanim's at this point, level 16. It's 26 minutes into the game, and he's got the level 4 pandas. They are insanely powerful. I think the Fire Panda hits for about 200 damage per punch. That is way higher. He's essentially carrying right now with their mid panda hero, and that's just incredible at this point in the game.
Yeah, it's just so darn early. I mean, honestly, his GPM is pretty out of this world for a Panda. 375. It doesn't seem like much, but for mid heroes that are always on the front lines, you're gonna die frequently, and I mean, it's very, very difficult to stay alive. I mean, he does have some great utilities to keep him up, and he's been playing it extremely well. But in general, you're not gonna find the last hits. You're gonna give that priority to the PL and other heroes as such. So I really think the fact that the Aghanims is coming out this early is something that no Tidehunter really doesn't have an answer for in their draft, in their team fight, anything like that. So
here comes the blast mid from Fluff. I think they should be able to take this tower. Yep, Loda just 2 hits it here. He's got 2,000 gold in the bank, and the PL illusions come to maybe drain some mana if possible. Korok is thinking about going in. He has a haste pop. He's looking for the opportunities, but he's waiting for his allies. Allies are coming. He's going to go in on Ake. There's the clap. There's the ulti. Here comes the right clicks. 194 damage per hit from the melee. Oh my god, the damage is so high from the pandas. Even the Nature's Prophet ulti. And again, the Cyclone and Loda. He's completely trapped. He's got to fight the whole enemy team. He's getting ready to track, but the Shrike can toss him. Bounty Hunter running for his life. 3 dead heroes already on the lines. And now Loda has got to fight everybody. The Hex. And this game looks over. There it is. Good game from S4. An insanely good plays from Liquid. Korok, props to him coming back from an 0-2 rough start. They team fought so well this game, and they absolutely won this game pretty one-sided. That was insane.
Yeah, it was all came down to the team fights. Like, we were always talking about, you know, long-term, the Phantom Lancer has a huge potential in the late game. He'll probably be able to carry it up when we break through 35, 40 minutes, but it wasn't even a factor. It was literally just how well they broke down on the team fights. Korok didn't have the best of time in laning phase. Was a little bit overconfident, but he bounced back so darn well, and he was able to do so many great things in the middle of the team fights. And once Boba had that scythe, and you have the, you know, the tornado along with the the rock that you throw out with the Earth Panda, along with the Scythe of Ice, all those different things, they were really able to just stay 100% on top of things and make it so that Alliance didn't really have any chance to retaliate, even though they didn't have any magic community piercing disables. Like, they didn't have anything that could lock down Loda in that 6-second duration other than, I guess, Sprout, and they still had no trouble at all in dealing with all 4 other heroes and ignoring him until that 6-second duration expired.
Yeah, they really did do a great job. Loda went the right items, but it just wasn't quite enough. Oh no, Captain Bamboo!
Oh.
That should never happen. That's just the worst thing I've ever seen. Well, don't like Liquid anymore after that. Animal cruelty.
You think it should just like respawn and just sit in like a little timeout corner or something?
Yeah, Bamboo is off limits, alright? I don't care who you are. Nobody kills that courier, okay?
Sad, sad, sad. Alrighty then, so that's going to be it for Game 1. We do see that Liquid take it away very, very convincingly up against Alliance in this Game 1 of the Best of 3 series, but of course Alliance in this Best of 3 has a chance to bounce it back, so we'll be going on to Game 2 where we'll see if they can send in the equalizer or if it's going to be match point for Team Liquid. So either way, it was a really, really interesting game, but nobody really can contest that Liquid just played the team fights too darn well for No Tide to really do anything about that. So really, really fun game, and as mentioned before, we'll be going on to Game 2 just a few minutes here. But once again, thank you so much, Purge, for coming on for this cast here.
No problem.